everything may have just changed in the blink of an eye. We all watched in absolute shock during that massive, chaotic showdown on Spoon Island when Ross Cullum pulled the trigger and shot Cassius Phazon. The bullet hit its mark. Blood was spilled on the floor of Windemir. The screen faded to black, and everyone in the audience immediately assumed the worst possible outcome. The impostor is dead. The fake Nathan West has taken his final breath. But wait, what if I told you this could be the biggest mistake of someone's life? What if the body we think is heading to the morgue is actually heading somewhere completely different? Guys, there is a massive possibility that actor Ryan Paevey is temporarily leaving General Hospital, but the circumstances surrounding his exit are about to blow your mind. Let us rewind for a second, because the dominoes are falling incredibly fast. The situation at Windemir was a complete powder keg waiting to explode. You had Carly Spencer and Lucas Jones risking their own freedom to break into the castle. You had Jocelyn Jacks and Liesl Obrecht held hostage in a terrifying situation. Jocelyn was fighting for her life against Ross Cullum to stop him from escaping with the dangerous cold fusion research. And right in the middle of this apocalyptic chaos was Cassius Phazon. Cullum fired that fatal shot, and Cassius went down hard. But here is where things get messy. Almost immediately after the chaos subsided, WSB head Z arrived on the scene. Z is a master manipulator. He is the ultimate puppet master of the spy world. And what happened next may be even worse than the shooting itself. Jocelyn Jacks, who was rushed to General Hospital for emergency medical attention due to her own severe injuries, made a highly secret, highly illegal deal with Z. She agreed to let the WSB pin all of Ross Cullum's brutal crimes on the deceased Cassius Phazon. That includes the cold-blooded murder of Marco Rios. By using Cassius as the ultimate scapegoat, Jocelyn secured the full release of Jason Morgan and Valentine Cassadine. It was a brilliant tactical move by a young woman desperate to save her loved ones. But that is not even the biggest surprise. Think about it strictly from Z's perspective. The WSB desperately needs this massive scandal buried deep underground. They absolutely cannot afford the public finding out that their top director, Ross Cullum, was a dirty double agent working with a fugitive like Jen Sidwell. They need a fall guy. And a dead Cassius Phazon is the perfect candidate to take the blame. But wait, it gets worse. What if Cassius did not actually die from that gunshot wound? What if Z realized that keeping Cassius alive, but entirely off the grid, was a much safer bet for the agency? If you ask me, the WSB has the unlimited resources to fake a death in their sleep. Z could have easily ordered his elite medics to stabilize Cassius in the shadows, throw him into an unmarked black SUV, and whisk him away to a secret WSB black site. A dark underground prison where Cassius can never speak to anyone ever again. Z gets his perfect cover-up, the WSB keeps its reputation intact, and Cassius is permanently silenced without a murder charge hanging over the agency. And then everything spiraled completely out of control. Even if Z did not secretly kidnap a surviving Cassius, the impostor had every single reason in the world to fake his own death and disappear into the night. Let us look at the cold, hard facts. Cassius was completely cornered. His time was up. He was not just an innocent twin caught in the crossfire of a WSB war. He was an active, willing henchman for Jen Sidwell. He helped Sidwell escape Port Charles when he was explicitly ordered to put him in jail. He advised a highly dangerous fugitive to flee the country. And when Ross Cullum took control of the situation, Cassius became Cullum's deadly pawn. Cullum literally ordered Cassius to go to Sidwell's new hideout and assassinate him. Cassius was playing a deadly game of chess with two of the most dangerous men on the planet, and he was losing badly. Guys, this is where it gets interesting. Cassius knew he was a dead man walking. If Cullum did not kill him, Sidwell absolutely would. And if neither of those psychopaths got to him, the Port Charles Police Department would lock him away forever. Detective Joe Fitzpatrick was already breathing down his neck, connecting the dots of his endless lies. In a shocking turn of events, Sidwell actually exposed Cassius's true identity to Joe Fitzpatrick, forcing a desperate Cassius to hold the detective at gunpoint just to escape. You do not just walk away from assaulting a police officer. Port Charles was no longer a safe haven for him. It was a maximum security prison waiting to happen. Fleeing the town, or letting the world believe he was dead, was the absolute only path left for his survival. But the legal trouble and the WSB assassins were not even the real problem. The personal fallout was apocalyptic. The fake Nathan West identity was completely, undeniably blown to pieces. And the person who took the hardest, most devastating hit was Lulu Spencer. Imagine the sheer psychological horror Lulu experienced in those quiet moments of realization. She thought she was falling deeply in love with a resurrected hero. She let this man into her home. She let him into her bed. And then the devastating truth dropped like a 10-ton anvil. She realized she had been sleeping with a complete impostor, a fraud, the secret, manipulative son of the evil Cesar Faison. Lulu was absolutely disgusted. She felt deeply violated on a spiritual level. The betrayal was so profound that it shook her to her very core, leaving her questioning every single decision she had made over the past few months. And you know how Lulu finally connected the dots? It was a brilliant, heartbreaking realization. Lulu deduced that if this man was truly the real Nathan West, his first priority, his only priority, would have been reuniting with Maxie Jones. The real Nathan loved Maxie with every fiber of his being. He would have moved heaven and earth to get back to her. He would never, ever have prioritized a sudden romance with Lulu over getting his family back. That romantic interest in Lulu was the imposter's fatal flaw. It was the absolute, undeniable proof that Cassius was a fake. And once Lulu knew the truth, the entire charade collapsed into dust. And that changes everything. Because the exposure did not just ruin Lulu's life, it shattered an innocent little boy's heart. James West had finally gotten his father back, or so he naively thought. In a twisted way, Cassius actually grew to care for the kid. We saw Cassius confiding in Nina Reeves, terrified of causing James any negative emotions. As the walls closed in and the truth became undeniable, Cassius knew he had to run. He accepted a deal from Jen Sidwell to escape Port Charles in exchange for a handsome reward. But Cassius took a massive, reckless, incredibly stupid risk. Instead of fleeing immediately to save his own skin, he risked his freedom and his life just to have one final goodbye with James at the batting cages. It was a desperate move by a desperate man, and it left Cody Bell in an incredibly difficult, painful position. Cody had to be the one to sit James down and explain the horrific truth. He had to explain the complex, evil twin swap. He had to look into a child's eyes and tell him that the man he had been hugging, the man he had been calling dad, was not his father, and that this man was leaving forever. James was completely heartbroken. The emotional devastation left in Cassius's wake is entirely unforgivable. And that is exactly why Cassius can never show his face in Port Charles again. The bridges are not just burned, they are vaporized into ash. Then we have the grieving mothers left to pick up the pieces of this shattered reality. Nina Reeves and Liesl Obrecht are drowning in a sea of despair. Nina is absolutely devastated. She spent weeks defending this man to everyone, calling him a great father, completely unaware of his true identity or the horrifying fact that he knew Liesl was locked in a cage at Windemir the entire time. Nina just found out that the real Nathan West was never actually resurrected. The miracle she prayed for was a sick, twisted lie. And Liesl? Liesl completed a dangerous cold fusion prototype just to keep Cassius safe from Cullum's wrath. She sacrificed her own freedom, her own safety for her son. And now she is facing major trouble with the WSB as they use Cassius as the ultimate scapegoat for their own corruption. Liesl is grieving a son who might be dead, or might just be a ghost running in the wind. So where does this leave us? The evidence is overwhelming and the writing is on the wall. Cassius Faison is gone. Whether he is dead in a cold morgue, rotting in a WSB black site under Z's tyrannical control, or on the run with Sidwell's dirty money, the character is officially off the board. This heavily implies that the incredibly talented Ryan Paevey is taking a temporary leave from General Hospital. The writers have effectively closed the book on the Cassius Faison chapter, wrapping up the twin swap storyline with a bloody, chaotic bow. But do not start writing your goodbye letters to Ryan Paevey just yet. Because this is General Hospital, and nothing is ever as simple as it seems on the surface. What if this entire chaotic, destructive storyline was just a massive, elaborate setup? What if the departure of Cassius Faison is the exact catalyst needed for the ultimate return? I am talking about the real Nathan West. Think about it logically. The audience has been teased with Nathan's face for months. We endured the lies, the manipulation, the fake-outs, and the endless heartbreak. The writers pushed the impostor storyline to its absolute breaking point, making us deeply hate Cassius for what he did to Lulu, Maxie, and James. They cleared the board by having Cassius eliminated in the most dramatic way possible. And now, the stage is perfectly, flawlessly set. Guys, I firmly believe that General Hospital is preparing to bring the real Nathan West back from the dead. Not a twin, not a clone, not an imposter with a hidden agenda and a dark past. The genuine, heroic, deeply loved Nathan West. If this incredible scenario unfolds, Ryan Paevey will absolutely remain on our screens. He will just be playing the character we have all been begging for since day one. Imagine the emotional whiplash this will cause. The town is currently mourning a fraud, completely drained of hope. But when the real Nathan steps into the light, it will be the most explosive, tear-jerking reunion in daytime television history. Imagine Maxie's reaction when she realizes the true love of her life is actually standing in front of her, entirely untainted by Cassius's evil lies. Imagine James finally getting his real father back, healing the trauma that Cody had to inflict on him. Imagine Liesl Obrecht's tears of pure joy, realizing her true heroic son is alive and well, wiping away the stain of Cassius's Faison-inherited darkness. The return of the real Nathan would not just close the dark chapter of the twin swap, it would ignite a brand new era of storytelling for the entire canvas. It would heal the deep, agonizing wounds Cassius inflicted on Lulu and Dante. It would change the entire power dynamic in Port Charles and give the fans exactly what they want. But for now, we are left staring at the smoking wreckage of Spoon Island, a gunshot echoing in the dark, a secret WSB deal signed in blood, a town left in absolute ruins by a master manipulator who wore a hero's face. Is Cassius truly dead, or is Z holding him in a dark, soundproof cell somewhere far away? Will Jen Sidwell realize his inside man is gone and unleash his deadly, explosive trap on Sunny, Laura, and Lucas? And most importantly, when will the real Nathan West finally step out of the shadows, reclaim his stolen life, and save the people he loves? One thing is absolutely certain in this chaotic universe. A massive secret is about to explode, and someone is walking right into a deadly trap. You absolutely cannot miss the next episode.
Goodbye. Please like, subscribe, and comment on the GH Spoilers Daily channel.